Today's guest is Mia Lakić, who currently works as a verification engineer at ARM, a global semiconductor technology company. Her journey took her from Bosnia and Herzegovina to Hungary as a bachelor student, where she graduated as an electrical engineer from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. And she's now about to embark on her master's program this fall. Mia is also a strong advocate for women in STEM and greater representation in science. She's actively involved in organizing community events to support and connect women at the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Informatics. She's also the co-founder and co-director of TEDxBME and has represented both her university and ELISA as a student reporter. In this episode, we talk about Mia's journey through tech, the lessons she has learned along the way, and the advice she has for the next generation of women in STEM. Hi, Mia. It's so nice to have you here today. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, please, and about your journey.
My name is Mia Lakić. I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I finished my bachelor's here in Budapest, Hungary. I'm an electrical engineer. I work at ARM, and I have too many hobbies, I would say.
And so you studied electrical engineering here in Budapest.
Yes, at BME.
And what was your experience like?
Well, I would say it was very positive. Many people wouldn't agree with me, maybe, but because it's a rigorous program,
Right.
the electrical engineering one, I had a really positive experience. I met my boyfriend there, and I've gained a lot of experience both in electrical engineering and in, let's say, networking and event organizing. So I would say my experience was mostly pleasant, which is why I decided to stay in Hungary.
You know, being a woman in engineering, statistics keep showing that women seem to be quite underrepresented in this field. Has that somehow influenced your experience or your journey?
I think that's very much felt whenever you are in any kind of STEM field. Electrical engineering is maybe a field where this difference is most noticeable
Mhm.
because in most countries, the representation is about 5%. So when you go into a classroom, the chance of you being an only woman is very high.
Mhm.
And how it has influenced me, well, academically, I was lucky to have professors who didn't have any bias towards me being a woman, although I heard a lot of women experiencing this
Mhm.
with unwanted comments, unsolicited advice in some fields.
Mhm.
But I think professors at BME really encourage girls with different events like Lányok and different circles that we have. Like we also have a club, tea parties for women at VIC, which is the Faculty for Electrical Engineering and Informatics, and how it has influenced me. Well, I still do feel imposter syndrome all the time, even at work, because, of course, I know that I know something, but when you don't know something, you feel like you're the only one who doesn't know. And with
Mhm.
this difference where you're different in gender from other people, it can really influence you sometimes. But I'm lucky because I was always in a supportive environment. And I guess my imposter syndrome was at the minimum as it can be in my case.
And do you still feel sometimes like you have to prove yourself like extra?
Yeah, definitely. I think that is maybe something that stresses me out the most
Mhm.
because I feel like, okay, there's not a lot of us in the field, especially in electrical engineering.
Mhm.
And in order to show that, okay, you have all this pressure on you being a girl, there's such a small number of us, I have to outperform everyone. Like I have to,
Right.
get a good grade, pass the exam on the first try, get this job,
Right.
have all of the skills. And yeah, it's a lot of pressure, definitely. But you get used to it and you realize that at the end of the day, people who truly understand good work don't look at you through, you being a man or a woman. They look at
Mhm.
your skills. And I think it's also a blessing that we have this pressure on us because all of the girls that I know,
Mhm.
most of them, the vast majority of them finish their studies on time and get really good grades.
Right. And now you are working, right?
Yeah.
And you work as a verification engineer. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that actually means on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm a graduate verification engineer at ARM, which is a global semiconductor company which designs CPUs, IPs,
Mhm.
which stands for intellectual property. The ARM architecture is used in billions of devices around the world. And what I do is that I'm verifying if all of the design by the design engineers is working correctly.
Mhm.
And this is a very top level explanation. But let's just say whatever comes into the device, I make sure that the appropriate output is getting on the output as well.
And what was it like for you to go from, being a student in engineering? I think that's, one experience, and then going into the deep end, straight into the work environment. What was the transition like for you?
My transition was a bit abrupt because my specialization at university was info communications. So when you imagine satellites and antennas,
Mhm.
and everything that has hertz in it,
Uh-huh.
that was my specialization. And I went into a workplace where the work isn't connected in any way to what I studied at university for
Mhm.
the last 3 semesters, and I had to adjust a lot and rely on my knowledge from the first year. So it was really challenging at the beginning, but later on I really got the hook of it. And right now, I think I'm doing pretty well. So, but I think everyone who enters into some kind of internship during their studies or after their studies, it's
Mhm.
really challenging. So I think that's expected of everyone.
Right. And besides all of the, the technical skills that you have to use for work, for your studies, what was your experience with soft skills, like teamwork or communication? How important did you find these aspects um, of work within the tech environment?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things a young engineer can have because most big tech companies get hundreds of applications, for an internship position or a graduate position or
Mm.
something like that. And while someone can have technical skills, these soft skills are very important because at the end of the day, you have to work in a team.
Yeah.
You have to work with other engineers. And luckily, I was working on my soft skills my whole bachelor's by being a part of student clubs
Hmm.
and organizing student led
Right.
events. And I think everybody can find an opportunity to work on their soft skills just by working in a team and getting feedback from their classmates or clubmates or however you would like to call it.
Hmm.
So I think this one is very important because when you enter an internship and you don't know enough,
Hmm.
you're talking to senior engineers, you have to know how to ask for help. You have to know how to ask questions.
Right.
Because if you don't know, somebody might have an impression that you don't know anything or that you want the problem solved for you,
Right.
which is not a good impression to have on your first day of work, right?
Hmm.
So, knowing how to ask questions, which is definitely soft skills, and knowing how to communicate with somebody who's not at the same level, who's more experienced than you, is very important in the work environment. Even though we don't study social sciences, it's still very, very important.
Now, you mentioned that you learned actually the skills through doing a lot of stuff besides your studying, like you were involved in TEDxBME, you worked in social media, you did so many different things. Do you want to talk about any of those aspects of your journey?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite experiences, TEDxBME,
Hmm.
from my bachelor studies,
Yes.
because I can actually say I have ownership of this event.
Right.
Because in 2023, a classmate of mine, a Vietnamese guy, Bin, he reached out to me and he asked me if I would like to co-organize a TEDx event with him.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, sure. But in that moment, we didn't know anyone
Hmm.
from the student union. We aren't Hungarian. We don't speak Hungarian. We don't know how we would even get the venue or the funds for this event.
Right.
So we just went head in, into this, black hole of how we can solve this
Yeah.
problem. And fortunately, because one guy from the student union actually reached out to us and he
Hmm.
said he's interested, we had this bridge to organize a really good event. And I organized two TEDx BME events at BME
Yeah.
at my technical University of Budapest.
Yeah.
And that might be the core of my informal experience at BME because I got to meet so many people from there. I have so many connections and memories from those two
Yeah.
events. I curated speakers from there. I'm still in contact with some of them. And I don't know, just to have this, science communication, large global event because the talks are posted on TEDx
Of
official
course, yes.
platforms. It's amazing to think, okay, I've had some impact on this and I partly made it happen. And that's a beautiful feeling, I would say.
That sounds really awesome. And how did it feel, the first one, when you saw it come together during the actual day, when you saw all of your efforts that you put in come to fruition?
Oh, we were so stressed on the day. I just remember that I didn't know where my head was. I was wearing a walkie-talkie
Uh-huh.
and just, communicated with everyone on the first channel, like, where are you? Where are you? One speaker even got lost
Oh.
right before they had to go on stage. So
Uh-huh.
it went to the lessons learned folder because we had to keep an eye on all of the speakers.
Yeah.
And can you just imagine the stress? 5 minutes before the talk, a speaker gets lost. And
Like,
in that second, you're thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I in this situation?
mhm.
I just keep putting myself into situations, I swear. And I was just thinking, why am I here? Why is this happening? We're calling him on the phone, not picking up. He just shows up like, why is everyone so stressed out? I just went out to take a walk before my talk.
I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
you.
If you're watching this, I'm sorry. And the day after, we were just like, we're never gonna do this again. And even the next few months later.
Uh-huh.
But when, the stress wore out, we decided to do another one. But it's really beautiful feeling to see that
Mhm.
an international student being, a newcomer here in Hungary, I got to do this with my two hands. I mean, not me alone, of course,
Uh-huh.
also with my friend Balint, but and Bin as well. But still to know that you had an impact in this way
Right.
in your local community because BME is not a small university;
Mhm.
it's more than 20,000 students. Um, Getting to do it in the main hall, the beautiful building on the Danube, is really, like wow.
That sounds awesome. And it sounds to me like you have done a lot of things. So you did well in your studies, you participated in the workforce, let's say, already, right? And you have experienced all of these other parts of the journey. Now, as someone who is very hardworking and very ambitious, do you ever feel like it's a bit too much or like you get a bit burned out?
Definitely, I think burnout is definitely bound to happen to anyone who's taking up so much responsibility. Can you imagine? I would do my studies, go to the lectures, do my homeworks, study, and then I have to deal like 2 hours a day with stuff about TEDx. If it wasn't TEDx, it was
Mhm.
GDSCBME. If it wasn't GDSCBME, it was whatever, something else. Even for one time, I was crocheting and selling handmade stuff. So,
Mhm.
um, some people are just like that, and I'm that person that I have to always have like every moment of my free time filled with purpose. Is that good? I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe not. But it can really tire you out. And last year in 2025, I did the TEDxBME for the second time on 12th of May,
Mhm.
11th of May,
Mhm.
and on 12th of May was my first day at work.
Wow.
And or like 12 and 13, doesn't matter. It was just one day
Yeah,
after
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
other.
yeah.
And I remember going into work, not being happy about the work at all
Mm.
because I was so tired, so worn
Right.
out.
You can
I
imagine, yeah.
lost a lot of weight. And on my first day at work, I get like a sore patch. You
Mhm.
know, those when your immune
Yeah,
system,
yeah, yeah.
system falls down. And I'm going into work with my lip being 3 times the size of my
Oh my God,
regular
I'm so
lip
sorry.
and wondering what will these people think of me. The first day at work, who is this girl?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I felt for a while that I I didn't read a single book last year
Mhm.
because I was just very tired of everything. And I'm a really passionate reader.
Right.
This year, I already read like 5 or 6.
Mhm.
So, it takes time to heal. And also, my body is just giving me responses like, you have to slow down. And
Right.
sometimes you have to listen to your body, definitely.
Definitely, you should always listen to your body. That's what I believe. And what helps you, to get out of burnout? What helps you to balance it all out?
Well, lately I've decided to slow down and to just tell people, sorry, I can't dedicate my time.
Hmm.
I keep getting requests like, would you participate in this event organization and
Right,
that
right.
event organization? And since I have a gap semester, I decided to just chill out, work,
Hmm.
travel, and do what I like without any purpose.
Yeah.
So dedicating 2, 3 hours to reading a book instead of, I don't know, crocheting a gift or
Mhm.
embroidering a gift definitely helps my mental health. And I just got diagnosed with insulin resistance
Right.
and I've had PCOS for a while. So I think it's also difficult for women because we get all these, chronic
Hmm.
diseases and illnesses because of stress, and all the stress induced
Right.
my insulin resistance. And now
Mhm.
I just really have to slow down. Otherwise, I'm on the road, to get something even harder.
Right. And do you ever feel like as a woman, you have to also somehow like hide the fact that you have some kind of health problem because then it might somehow negatively impact your position at work or at university?
Yeah, I thought at the beginning it was like that. I think it's pretty taboo to talk about menstruation and reproductive health issues when you're a woman, especially when you're surrounded mostly by men. But I think it's important we talk about these issues. I feel like it's really helpful, not just for me, but for everybody
Mhm.
else, regardless if they're men or women, to talk about these issues. Because when I started speaking up about it a couple of months ago, a lot of, women just said, "Oh, I have the same problem," and
Right.
like, wow, I didn't know
Hmm.
somebody else was dealing with this, whatever it might be, regardless if it's
Hmm.
reproductive or any kind of health issue. And I decided to be vocal about it lately.
Hmm.
And I think it's very good that people are aware because, when I would say insulin resistance, people would think, oh, you have diabetes.
Hmm.
You can't eat sugar at all. Or, they think I
Yeah.
have to be on medication all the time. And then you realize, oh, this is not talked about enough.
Right.
We
Right.
should we
Right.
should say out loud what it is, and maybe they'll understand with their partner in the future or something else.
Hmm.
So raising awareness about this is very important because it's getting so common. I know so many girls with insulin resistance and PCOS or PMOS.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just decided lately that I don't care. I think it doesn't affect me negatively at work at
Hmm.
all. I think people just have more empathy when they know about these issues because when you have catering, most of the time people get unhealthy snacks like chips and
Right.
chocolate,
Right. Right.
and now they take more care. And I have a colleague who has celiac disease,
Right.
and I just got snacks, and I'm lactose intolerant as well. Like, what am I not at this point? I got lactose free snacks, I
Yeah.
got sugar free snacks, and I noticed at one event he wasn't eating anything. And we had a barbecue, and he told me, oh, I have celiac disease. Could you buy something gluten free?
Right.
And I felt so rude because I, talked so much about
Yeah.
my issue. I didn't hear that somebody else has an issue as well. So now I think the environment of getting these inclusive snacks, it's a small thing, but it
Mhm.
means a lot. Everybody can have
Yeah.
fun.
But I think it's wonderful that, you talk about it more now because at the end of the day, if we're really honest with each other, I think you will find out that everybody has something that they need some adjustments for or some help with, but everybody's too scared to talk about it because then they might be perceived as being weak somehow, or,
Yeah.
and everybody's too scared to do that. But when you start talking about it, you realize everybody's got something. And I think it's wonderful when people are more open and they can just be themselves and can be comfortable doing what they're doing and can have the support of the community. Because it really doesn't take that much to be inclusive,
Yeah,
But it's a choice that we
definitely.
can make. Are we going to be inclusive, or are we going to pretend like, nothing's happening, nothing exists, everybody's fine?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
agree.
wonderful.
I think it's much more helpful for the society and, your social
Mm,
environment when people are aware, okay, we need to take a little extra care about someone,
mm,
but then everybody's feeling comfortable. It's really not that much to help out someone or just to ask a friendly question.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And are you excited about anything in the near future coming up? Is anything happening?
Oh, I don't know if I'm excited
Yeah.
or if I'm scared. I'm starting my master's from September,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but I'll be working part-time as well. So,
Wow.
um, I already did work and study at the same time for a
Mm.
whole semester, but it was my last semester doing just my thesis and some electives. But maybe it will be okay. I hope it will.
That sounds very exciting, and wish you the best of luck with that. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure you're going to do great. You're going to do fantastic. Now, to wrap up this conversation for today, do you have any advice for young girls and young women who may want to go into STEM fields, maybe into engineering specifically, and who are completely new to this journey? What would you like to tell them?
I would like to tell them that they should be brave and they should not think that something is not for them just because it seems like it's not for them.
Mm,
I really enjoyed my experience at university. I really enjoyed learning and just getting this new information. And I always ask, what is so masculine about, electrical engineering and
mm,
math? And nobody seems to have an answer until now.
mm.
So just be brave and don't be afraid that you won't fit in somewhere. You're the one who's building your path.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I wish you the very best on your journey. And I'm sure you're going to do a wonderful job.
Thank you. It's likewise for you too. And thank you for having me.